To some people, age is just a number. You're not old, you're not young, it's just a number. Well, to basketball, it matters. Age does matter. The Illinois Final Illini basketball team last year was one of the youngest teams in the entire country in the basketball world. And sometimes that age showed itself, and sometimes that age did not show itself. It showed itself in good ways and bad ways. It showed up in games where we were more athletic. They were able to run up and down the court. They were able to play fast defense. Then, as times it showed its ugly head where we didn't have the experience, didn't know how to handle certain pressures, didn't know how to put the foot on throat type of mentality when we had the team on the ropes. And that was the Illinois basketball team last year. We've had many people leave. We've had a couple declare their names into the NBA draft, but Brad Underwood and staff have gotten some transfers in once again. This time landing Quincy Guerrier from Oregon, who left from Syracuse to Oregon, now to Illinois. This matters when you keep relationships in the recruiting world. Illinois was one of the last teams on his list to commit to a few years ago. So Coach Underwood has kept that relationship. And this happened pretty quickly. I think he knew when he entered the transfer portal that Illinois was one of the places to go. And I want to address a couple things what this means for the Illinois basketball program. But I want to address the haters as well. I've had haters on this channel comment and say that players talk to each other. Coach Underwood has this reputation of being a jerk, of being just an asshole, and these players talk to each other. So it's going to be hard for him to get anybody to come play for him. Well, he's gotten a couple people to come play for him. He's got a couple people to stay, and only two are leaving because they're thinking about the NBA. So, hater, where are you now? All you haters that said these players talk to each other. Why did Quincy Guerrier decide, well, I'm going to leave Oregon, and one of the destination spots is going to be the University of Illinois and play for Coach Underwood? I wonder where you're at now. Coach Underwood is flipping the script on this Illinois basketball team. Went from recruiting a ton of freshmen last year. He still recruits freshmen this year, and went from being one of the youngest teams that he was going to have to deal with, one of the youngest teams in the country. To some, that was not a big deal. It is a big deal. It can go one of two ways. It could be like Kentucky, the one and done. It could be like Memphis when Coach Calipari was there, one and done type of young team. It could be a young team that has to learn how to develop and learn how to play. But with this transfer portal, you're seeing older teams start to be the trend where you get experienced players who have been there, done that, has seen different types of zone defenses, matchup zone defenses, how they stunt on their man defense, full court pressures, understand on zone offenses where to move the ball, how to move, poise, because they've been there and done that, playing in big time games, having experience. The first time I think that was brought to the eyes of at least the Illinois world was when Illinois played Missouri. Illinois, athletically, I think, was more athletic than Missouri. But what saved Missouri was their age, their experience. They could handle the pressure of this rivalry game. They could handle certain things that Illinois decided to do. They could handle just everything. The age matters sometimes. Sometimes it's just a number. So, Illinois is now going to be one of the oldest teams. Coach Underwood has brought in 4 or 5 year, 3 year guys. I think last season was a wake up call for him. And we said it before. It was a wake up call, and he learned, he and staff, I think, figured out saying this is the landscape that college basketball is now going to go to. We have to look into if it's legal, and this is just kind of where it's going. If we keep our relationships, we're still going to go out and recruit freshmen and young guys. We have to keep that relationship because you never know when they are going to decide that they're going to leave. He is now flipping the script and learned If I go get an older team, I think we can compete. Here's an example. Who did very well in the Big Ten this year that not very many people said was going to happen? Penn State played well. They played well down the end of the stretch. Illinois couldn't beat them. They competed with teams. They were one of the oldest teams in the country. Now, were they as athletic as other teams? No, but they were able to handle a lot of things. Coach Underwood is not just getting experienced players, but he is getting good experienced players. Quincy Guerrier, what does it mean besides age coming in for this team? It gives you another versatile guy. Now, he's not a point guard, but he can dribble. He brings in some shooting. He's going to add some rebounding. He's 6'8". He averaged 9 points, 4.6 rebounds per game, and 1 assist with Oregon. 3-point shooting. His sophomore year to his senior year, he went from shooting 31.1% up to 34.3%. He gets back to the basket. He kind of is a similar player to Coleman Hawkins. He's a very similar player, just not as lengthy. If Coleman Hawkins and Terrence Shannon decide to come back, if the NBA draft does not work out for them, this does not hurt anybody's starting positions. It doesn't hurt where you're going to place these players. Coleman Hawkins can slip into the 5. Guerrier can slip to the 5. You can have a very fast team. And if Danger continues to do the work that has been reported, he might find his way into the starting lineup. Or when you play teams that have another big guy, if Danger can figure out his defense and continue to get better, that's when that comes in. And then you put in Guerrier, Coleman Hawkins, and company to really blow people out with your speed. But this is a huge win for Coach Underwood and staff with the other transfers they have coming in because it's the experience. I do think that he learned and figured out maybe I can't build a team fully 100% the way I did with Kofi Coburn and Io DeSumo and everybody else. Maybe that's not the way college basketball has moved to. This is not something that can fully be done like 100% all the way, which is good. The people that called for Coach Underwood to be fired, you wanted to fire a guy that is willing to see the landscape of college basketball and sit there and say, I have to adjust and adapt or die. And if I don't adapt or die, we're going to be put behind. I can still go out and look at younger guys, try to bring them in and see if we can't keep them for a year or two. But I think that he's going to understand it's free agency type of market. The moment a guy goes to the transfer portal and you have the opportunity to bring them in, especially if you try to get them to your school before you go out there and you try to get them. He is not going to, he can play the 3, the 4, the 5 spot. He's versatile. And think about on defense. If he can really disrupt people with his length and his speed and get some rebounds for this team, it's going to add good depth. But again, the biggest takeaway from this is we go from being one of the youngest teams in the country to now we're going to be, I mean, it hasn't been fully out there to be the oldest team in the country, but it's going to be a huge difference from last year. We're going to be one of the oldest teams out there with the starting position wise. Now, overall, maybe not, but to have this immediate flip and Coach Underwood saying, I saw other teams out there get older guys. They went out there and won some games in the NCAA tournament, competed in their conference. Why can't that be Illinois? Well, I have to accept that we cannot just rely on freshmen, but he brings – it's going to be like having Coleman Hawkins out there, and that's why maybe getting guys like this, depending on their draft stock, depending on their name, image, and likeness deals, does Terrence Shannon come back? Does Coleman Hawkins decide to come back? It's very possible, and it will add to this. And this just shows that people that want Coach Underwood fired, just they go to gut reactions. people just want to be haters, and people just fully don't understand, or society itself. Oh my gosh, Coach Underwood is yelling at the players. That's kind of where society has gone. I've had people comment on this and say, I put the picture up saying, I hope that I feel sorry for any kids that you coach if you coach anything like Underwood, when literally every coach in the country for basketball, college basketball, does the same thing. Makes no sense. But I think this is starting to put some haters away because you're not really seeing the fire Underwood scene as much now. We'll see it when the season starts. The moment they lose a game, you'll start to see it. But this is a huge win for Illinois to get this guy in with the type of experience that he's going to bring in, and bring that type of hopefully leadership that we're going to need. I think Dozmak could be that type of leader. Watching, if you go watch any games of theirs, I think he could bring that into this group. Um, and especially if Coleman Hawkins and Terrence Shannon, it's still 50-50, I think, on whether they're going to come back. But the door is open for them to come back. And if they do, I think you better watch out for this Illinois team. The only thing left Coach Underwood has to do, he could still bring in a couple transfers, but now we have to try to get a guard. Anytime a guard goes into the transfer portal, I think Coach Underwood really needs to go talk to them. Every time one is on Twitter, I think all of us Illini fans retweet and say, Illinois is a good place. But I think this proves that people are trusting Coach Underwood, and it puts people's rumors or thoughts to sleep of, well, these players talk to each other. They're not going to go play for him. Well, apparently they will. And maybe they're right. Maybe Coach Underwood can only really, coach older players. Fine. Then guess what he's going to do? He's going to go get the older players. That's what he's going to do. And then if he can get some younger guys, develop them, they don't have to start or play right away. They get a little older. They start to realize what he's doing. He sees how the older guys react to him. I think that will bring it up as well and help everything else. So haters go away from trying to fire Coach Underwood, but this brings a lot. Now we just need to find a guard, and I expect here pretty soon that we will have a guard get transferred into the U of I. It's just a matter of time. I just don't know how quickly it's going to happen, but I think it's going to be way sooner rather than later that we will hear of some good guard coming to Illinois. You just have that type of feeling that this is going to happen. That's it for this short episode on Quincy Guerrier coming into the University of Illinois. We will update any other Illini basketball news. Make sure you guys like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Follow and rate it on Apple and iTunes. Follow at Coach_Steve72 on Twitter, and the Coach Steve Show on Twitter as well. Check out all the affiliates in the description below. Check out all the other episodes. Leave a comment in the comment section down below as well. Thank you guys for all the other support. Check out clips of the videos and audio clips on Apple and iTunes as well. Thank you guys again for watching and or listening. This is Coach Steve. We will see you guys on the next one.